What's going on, guys? I'm Dylan with Constrictor Culture, back with another video. And pretty much today I'm going to tell you guys of how I got started on all the snakes that I now have, and what led me pretty much to this point to wanting to breed them and do more with them and so forth. So I want to say since I was very young, I've always liked reptiles. Thought they were super cool, they stood out. They were just different than like your dog or your cat or so forth like that. So I was always interested in them. And then my neighbor, when I was probably around 8, 9 years old, he had a Ballpython, and I remember going over and holding it, watching it, playing with it, all kinds of things. And ever since then, I've always liked snakes and so forth. But I was never allowed them because my parents didn't like, I wouldn't say didn't like, they just weren't a fan of them. And it took some convincing later on to make them change that mind. But when I first started and talked about trying to get one, they wouldn't allow it, continue to try and stuff. And then finally we came to a negotiation, and I got a bearded dragon. And the bearded dragon was super cool, but it wasn't fully what I wanted when I was younger. So I had him for a couple of years, and then after that, I didn't really have any reptiles since then. And around 2019, September of 2019, I went to a reptile store here where I live, and I was just looking around and seeing stuff. And the guy he asked me, he was like, "What are you looking for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just looking at all the Ballpythons and other snakes." And he went to the back and pulled out one of the Ballpythons that they had in the back of the store. And that is, let me pull him out. This guy right here. This guy was the first snake that I actually was able to get. Since now I have money, I work, I can pay for all the snakes, necessities, and so forth. And he is a pastel, and it was the first snake that I actually got, and I was so amazed that I was able to even get one. And it was one of the best days that I can say. And I've loved this dude ever since then. He'll probably be a snake that I never get rid of. He's got his little skittishness. He's not the most of outgoing, to say, snakes, but I do like him a lot. Once he kind of gets relaxed with you, he's not too bad. He's notorious though for being, the typical Ballpython eater, where he doesn't want it, he's not going to eat it. So that's that. You got to kind of work around that. But what I have been trying is called Da Vinci Boa, and it's like a vitamin liquid, and you just simply pour it, or you get a little plastic syringe or the basters, and you just carefully put it down his throat, and then you give him that, and within a week he was already back on food, when he wouldn't take food for 4 months. I tried all kinds of things, tried going to a smaller rat, all kinds of things, wouldn't take it. So that was that. But otherwise, he's a very good snake, have no problems with him, and probably will just be my first snake that I keep forever and so forth. But yeah, little guy, like him a lot. And then so I got this guy in September of 2019, and the very next week it was the Sacramento Super Show or whatever, the Cal Expo show here in California. And I went to it because I was just I was so intrigued with the morphs of it that whole week I was just looking, found morph market, all kinds of things. And then I saw that there was a reptile show that popped up, and I was like, oh, I really want to go to this. So I went to it, just kind of was going to see, and I ended up coming home with another snake without telling anybody. I hid it for 3 days with nobody knowing, and I just had it. It was in a little cage. She was probably 60, 70 grams when I first got her, and I was just like, that's where I knew I was hooked on this. And I was like, I really like these. Because I kept seeing more and more and all the different morphs, all the different colors and patterns and everything. I was like, it's super, super cool. So I just wanted I wanted everything I possibly could get. So the next one that I got was this girl right here. I'm pretty sure I showed her in Wednesday's video. She's paired with I don't know if it's locked. Let me check. They're not locked, so give me a second. Pull her out. So she's around a year and a half old. She is a Firefly het pied. I showed her in Wednesday's video, I'm pretty sure, because we are pairing her for 2022 season to lay for us. And she was super tiny. No one knew about her, and it was super cool to just see. I thought, especially for just getting into it, I got her for, I want to say $350, and I thought that was the craziest thing I've ever spent $350 on. And I wasn't still, it was so hard to pull the trigger on it because I just couldn't comprehend like behind spending that much money on a snake. But I did it, and slowly more, I started spending a little more, spending a little more, and so forth. And then now I've purchased, I want to say 40 snakes, 40 snakes, 41 with our boa, and then our Pastel Mystic Yellow Belly Hidden Gene Wilma girl. She just laid 6 more eggs, so we'll see what comes out of that clutch. But ever since that point, I was just astounded with everything I can possibly get. So I started doing some research and learning more about all the different types of morphs, and like learning stuff of like what I like, what I want to get with, and so forth, and work and all that. And I would say the big ones now for me that I have picked to start working with, recessive wise, I would say I'm really big into tri-stripe, or getting into tri-stripe, but it's so hard to find. You barely find anything for it. So when I do see something I want for it, I usually tend to get it. And then clown is another big recessive for me, that a lot of this is to work with clown and so forth. But for like codon sense, I like a lot of the darker morph genes, but then you add a little bit of like other stuff to kind of make it enhanced a little bit. So like asphalt to make super asphalts and so forth like that. But yeah, it's pretty much where I've been with it now, and I continue to get more as the weeks go on, I guess. So I got one more coming from Mark Bailey that should be coming in the future. He lives in an area where weather sometimes impacts and makes sending hard. So, I'm not in a rush. It's not like I can do anything with the snake, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going and tripping about it. So when that comes, I have big plans for that snake. When she finally grows up, she's gonna be paired with where is he? She'll be paired with this Orange Dream Leopard Clown I got from SOS Amador. He lives about 40 minutes from me, and went and picked him up, I want to say probably 2 months ago. Got him from him, and the color on this dude is just ridiculous. So I'm planning a lot better than when I started. When I was starting, I kind of just bought a little bit. I didn't buy too much of, like, in a sense, males to female portion, but I do have a couple that I'm trying to like see, is it worth it for me to keep them and so forth and work with them. But this male right here, one of my good powerhouse males that I'll be using for years to come probably, because you can't go wrong with an Orange Dream Leopard Clown into like anything really. Put them into like pied to make double recessives, and then if you get Orange Dream Leopard into that as well, you can only imagine what it's gonna look like. Nice coloring on him, really nice oranges and all that. Can't wait for him to do some work for us in the next year or so for me. It'd be really cool. But nope. Can't go up there. But as well as like when I first got into it, you start with a tank and then you have a couple, so you're like, holy cow, I can't have like 10 tanks in this place. So then you start doing some research. You see that you can do a rack, and you're like 2,000 for a rack or whatever. You're like, that's expensive. So then you try to do your own custom one, and I did my own custom one at first, and I was like, honestly, it worked, but it looked like crap, and I hated it. It's made out of melamine, it weighed a ton. I don't recommend doing it. Recommend you just saving or spending that money you put in and time that you put into that rack, just put it into an ARS or something like that. Get yourself something nice, spend the extra couple bucks. I know it's a lot of money, but in the long run, your snakes will be a lot better in this versus the crappy melamine that you get. But after that, got this, been happy, and just been growing since, and I can't have any complaints about it. Just waiting for pretty much a lot of holdbacks, or not holdbacks, but grow ups I got to finally finish growing, and then I can start pairing them. I have the few that I am going with in here, and just the future will tell what I can do with it. So I got big plans, and we'll see. But as always, thank you for watching. I'm Dylan with Constrictor Culture. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow us on Instagram at constrictor_culture. Peace.